Allow me to start by congratulating all of you. I must say and reveal that when Roger Forsgren and Kevin invited me to come and join you, it only took us a microsecond to say I'm in. And then Roger said, Orlando, if there is a need to provide some honoraria, we'll be more than happy to. And said, no, this would be my honor to be among you. And in fact, listening to all of you speak earlier today, if I could pay for the ticket, I would. But I'm not allowed. I'm a contractor. So, but it certainly is very moving and motivational to me to come back. Make no secret that my DNA is NASA. I code my veins, and what flows is blue and red. It's not only blue because blue is NOAA, but NASA has red and blue. It's in me. And I was actually privileged to be part of the formative stages of the SELDP with Chris Williams, and Mike Riskevich. So I know what it's all about. I remember Angie Russo and Scott Glupke, names that you may see on the list of past graduates that were the first participants from the center. And I had the privilege of also interacting with them throughout their full experience, and certainly when they came back. I stayed in touch with, not as much with Angie, I haven't seen her in a while, but Scott Glupke certainly, and I know I've been following his career through the center. And I'm proud to say that they went on to fulfill the promise of what this program is all about. Go back and give 100% to what you call your home as a solid contributor to the systems engineering expertise and the capability of the center and NASA. Now, I'm going to assume that having gone through similar experiences, all of you cemented your commitment to making engineering of systems your career path and calling it NASA. So I'm going to start with that assumption. Is that right? Does anyone have any doubt, having gone through it, that you want to run in the other direction? So what inspired you to pursue such a career? I mean, what led you to raise your hand? I mean, I know you all had very motivational experiences in your backgrounds, but why systems engineering? It's a rhetorical question, right? So, I must confess that in my career was not engineering of systems, but I'm a mechanical engineer by training. And as is the case in most, and in all of the NASA centers perhaps, you're thrown into this aerospace engineering bucket where, pretty soon your real career sort of moves to the side. And so in my major within the mechanical engineering domain was in thermodynamics and heat transfer. And in fact, if I were to point to the foundation for whatever skills I had as a systems engineer, what comes to mind is, and I'm just gonna tell you, was the second edition of J.P. Holman book on thermodynamics. You figure out the age. I didn't want to reveal it, but it goes way back. And the reason is because in thermodynamics, the one thing, they would pound on you day in and day out, all about draw your boundaries around what you call the system. So the first thing you do is what are the boundaries of a system that we're talking about. So soon I learned, and by the way, not only the boundaries, but the interactions across those boundaries. So you get to understand what am I talking about and what do I interface with in those boundaries that I define. So soon I learned that if I wanted to be a good engineer, I better consider myself an engineer of systems from the get-go, no matter at what the level you may be in the organization or in the system of interest. And in fact, that unless you specifically design whatever it is that you do to be isolated, that the purpose of whatever it is to be isolated, unless that is the purpose, you cannot afford not to be in complete and total interaction with everything that happens across those boundaries. Now, I had throughout my career, I added many more strings to my DNA through the different experiences, and understanding what the true value of systems engineering was and how important it was to programs and projects and the success of the agency. Some of you quoted Gentry Lee, a good friend, and someone who I happen to share his principles in how he views the world. If you notice, he closed the quote by saying, and you're responsible for everything. And that's all systems engineering is about. To me, my favorite definition is it is a collection of different elements that together interact in given environments to produce results not obtainable by any single system alone. And that includes people, software, facilities, policies, documents to define what it is towards the end. And it's something that goes deeply into the work we do in the NASA family. I'll share some of my experiences and how they built not only my career in leadership, in engineering, in a contributor to the agency, and something that we may think that some of it has been lost, but the truth is that a lot of it is also still alive very much, and that I invite you in going back to find ways to rekindle the fire in your organizations to make it happen. Now imagine this. I joined the agency in 1978, and shortly after my first year and a half of experience, I was thrown in to be the cryogenics test engineer on the Cosmic Background Explorer mission. Imagine this. And the COBE mission, as it is known, was assigned to NASA Goddard Space Flight Center because the center had the expertise in astrophysics, but there was a great deal of concern that the center was losing its engineering capability, and they needed to bring some work in-house that was challenging, and the center was challenged for the leadership of a center to step up and actually give the workforce an opportunity to grow, to develop, to be part of something exciting. And we all knew from that moment that we were working on something very special. And Dr. Mather, first Nobel Prize winner in the agency, a very young scientist at the time. We all worked together towards one goal: mission success. Everything throughout the center, the heartbeat was about mission success, day in and day out. And I'm grateful to all of those that became my mentors in allowing that to happen. But imagine turning something over when I was still in my 20s, junior engineer, to be responsible for developing the test vessels where the cryogenic optical assembly and the two primary instruments were being housed. Tested to 1.5 degrees Kelvin. I make tremendous number of mistakes, was able to celebrate incredible successes, and I knew all along that I had experienced engineers and managers watching, even though they didn't make it sound like they were watching. They were always behind the work that I did. And I was having some conversation earlier about documentation and what could be an overburden when you have so much documents and process driving the process. Back then, I shared with some of you that the focus on mission success was not about paper. It was about being thorough technically and paying attention, keeping the eye on the ball every moment. Every minute counted, every minute we were relying upon each other to watch each other's back for the purpose of mission success and technical integrity. That led, by the way, I was the Small Explorers project manager also during the days of faster, better, cheaper. And even though to some that was a failure, to me, I shared with some of you, per dollar, it is probably one of the most successful programs we ever undertook, and was able to return incredible scientific returns for a very small amount of money in very short periods of time, and produce a tremendous number of engineers and leaders, and now have spread throughout the agency doing bigger and better things because we were given the opportunity and because we all believed in mission success and the importance of mentorship to make that happen. I also spent some time in the office of a chief engineer at the deputy systems Deputy Chief Engineer for Systems, and gave me an opportunity to experience policy from an angle that I couldn't experience otherwise, and I presume some of you had the chance through this program to be exposed to it. And I learned, we were working hard. During that time, by the way, when I joined the Office of a Chief Engineer, was during the failure of the Mars Climate Orbiter and the Mars Polar Lander. So it wasn't a fun time to be in the forefront of the attack from Congress, who was insisting that they, imagine this, they were insisting to establish a systems engineering capability in Congress to watch NASA and tell NASA how to do its work. And I gotta tell you, I mean, I was new to the policy environment, and I would only write notes, I would say, over my dead body, because there's no way that you can relinquish that to anyone but those that are responsible for the work. And and I had then after that the opportunity to lead the Mars Exploration Program and Planetary Program. That was yet another stage in systems engineering and complex engineering and interactions towards a goal of mission success. And to us, it meant the search for life. Search for life outside of our planet. And we knew that the first steps we could take in the first decade of that exploration program was to determine where we could see evidence that life may have existed. And this is where the follow the water concept came from, because wherever there is water, it's essential to life. So wherever there is water would be the first place you would go to try to find it. And it was one of the most rewarding experiences in my career, and where I once again got to experience the best in systems engineering from all the NASA centers contributing to that success, and certainly to the leadership of those involved. Now, I would call those experiences learning to balance management, science, technology, and engineering disciplines, and it's certainly an excellent skill set for any career in NASA and just about anywhere you may go. And systems engineers are called upon to do all of that, balance those forces at every moment. I'll tell you that it is hard. It is hard for all of you going back to your centers, I'm sure. The centers, cannot, for the most part, just stop the clock and wait for you to come back, promising anything other than an exciting job. I mean, I haven't been wearing those shoes as head of engineering when Angie and Scott were part of the effort. I know they went out the door, and I said, oh my God, we let a couple of our best go, and we accepted 2 new people who we knew very little about other than their resumes and a desire to be part of a bigger NASA family in a bigger way. So what I can tell you is that you have the technical part of your job down packed, and no one can take that away from you. And in fact, wherever you go, I am sure you will excel at that. My deepest and most heartfelt recommendation is, however, that you focus on your behaviors. And what do I mean by behaviors? Be aware of your behaviors, and be especially aware of what I call the hotshot syndrome. Hotshot syndrome is when you get back and you think that now you deserve to be the center director. Right? Raise your hand if you, somehow that hasn't been. I am so well prepared and have been all over the agency, and I'll be darned if I am put in any position that isn't but the center director. Has that crossed your mind? No? So actually, you may think that you are owed something after all of the personal and professional sacrifice you have made and all of this knowledge and newly found skills. Well, actually, tongue-in-cheek, I think you have every reason to be proud and to be appreciated and acknowledged for what you have accomplished. You also need to know that your respective centers and sponsors deserve authentic appreciation for the sacrifice they have made by letting one of their best go for so long and make room for someone they barely know for the good of the NASA team. So look for opportunities to uncover and share interests and places where you can find and contribute 100%. wherever you are assigned. So my challenge to you is that you come to an open mind. They know why the talent they have in you, and whatever they're assigned you to, go at it with the same energy and motivation that you expressed your view of and how much you've grown through this experience. Pay attention to your teammates, and make sure that they are included where they need to be in your project. Remember that the system is as good as the sum of its parts, and honor your word by keeping your agreements with them towards the goal of mission success. There is nothing actually, in my opinion, more destructive to your end goal than the lack of respect for your time and that of others. So whenever you gather your troops, and be assigned to a project, your word and you as leader of that group, and whatever you tell to them means a lot. And as many people say, people may not remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And that is respected because they're part of a team that believe in what it is that you're doing and for what reason. And I say, that once you put a plan together with the soundness that the experience you bring will afford you, little affects performance and delivering in commitments than allowing time to fall by the wayside. Meaning, your word to delivering and your commitments when you say, it's carry a great deal of weight. Now, do you envision, listening to all of you talk, do you envision a hopeful future going back to your home center? Are you clear about it? So, what do you envision doing that will bring fulfillment to you personally and professionally? Are you clear about it?
I was just going to make a joke about leading the center.
Well, it's being the center director, right? And I actually want to be clear in the meaning of my words. I mean, I think I was one of those that, in fact, Dr. Bolden walking in reminds me that at times people would ask me, actually, Charlie, don't pay attention to this. So sometimes people would ask me, what do you want to do next? And I said, I would want to be the NASA administrator. And it wasn't that I necessarily, no, Charlie, I was only kidding. It wasn't necessarily that I could make it. It was because I believed so strongly in what we did that I could see myself wearing those shoes for the success of everybody, right? And so it didn't matter what I was assigned to. I would just go at it as if I was an NASA administrator with that same energy and commitment that I would do anything. So be clear about what it is that you're focusing your behaviors on, because you set the stage for attitudes and mindsets. When we speak about cultures, we speak about attitude and mindsets. And if you, as a leader of whatever it is that you are assigned to be the systems engineer of, if you walk in with an attitude of defeat and not finding your way out of whatever challenges are posed to you, your team will be going down in flames with you. And you get stuck in situations and in the challenges as opposed to the solutions and the magic that can come from all of you contributing to the end goal. So as a chief engineer of a project, you set the tone for what magic to occur. And you also bring the optimism and a sense of reality to what is possible, to new thinking, ideas, and innovation. Now, don't waste your time blaming and complaining about others or particular situations or the fact that, oh my God, I'm, being overwhelmed with documents and what have you. Once you understand what it is that your stakeholder is asking of you, you set the tone as leaders. Now you have the tools, a great deal of tools that will help you be the one that sets the vector in the proper direction. And that, that engenders success, in my opinion. And lastly, when you're leading a team of people, pay particular attention to be clear about what it is that you expect of them. So leadership is not, being there for the sake of being there, but being clear on what it is that you expect of those that have been entrusted under you to lead. It is, the root of all accountability, of the accomplishments, and the ultimate success. So why am I telling you all of this? because you are as good as it gets in the world of NASA, and frankly, anywhere you go. I mean, after I retired from NASA, any organization I was called upon to assist in what way, based on my experience base, I just went in with a great deal of pride for what I took from the NASA environment I grew up in. And it is easy, actually, from what I learned as a systems engineer, to notice the boundaries and the interactions across those boundaries and finding ways to plug the holes wherever they may be holes, and find ways for the team just to focus on mission success. So it is time for you to go back and be leaders and examples to those in your organization. And here's my parting thought in being an example and setting the tone, and the attitude is everything as a key part of what makes the culture. My motto is something that I learned from the mentors that were assigned to me at Goddard when I first started. I imagine this. I mean, it was at a time when minorities were just struggling to find their way in organizations such as NASA. But I can tell you that from the moment I walked in, and something that I always admired about this agency, is that all those cultural barriers, color of skin, religious creed, what have you, were forgotten. The only thing that mattered to us was mission success. And we were all equal, and everyone either contributed or you had to move to the side. And the one thing that everyone did was assign you a mentor that was watching you along the way, providing hints, moving here, pointing the things that you may or may not have the experience to take fully on when you start. So here's what I believed in very strongly and still do. To me, my one job was make certain that my superior succeeded. Why? Because if he or she did, so did I by definition. The other was to prepare whomever was part of my team to be ready to take my job anytime. That meant being a mentor. So that combination of those two things are leadership and mentorship. And that's the only thing you can leave behind as a legacy. So take that seriously and make it part of your portfolio of all the things that you have learned. It is exciting to be part of any NASA group. I appreciate the opportunity to address you, and I wish you the best. I know your centers are looking forward to have you back. Thank you.